Can you feel that grief in the air, man? I guess it may not be grief for everybody, but there's definitely this like charged emotion that is hanging over us right now. And this moon is kind of, I guess this is like the snow moon that's coming up, and it's actually happening tomorrow. And when these moons happen, right, there's the shadow period. So it's 3 days before, 3 days after. I'm sure you've heard of like Mercury retrograde shadow periods, which are like 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, or something like that. The last 3 days, there has been this kind of like hanging cloud, is what it feels like, or what it looks like. At least that's like what I'm seeing. And what it's actually been is suppressed sadness, suppressed grief, suppressed emotions that have been avoided. And it feels like maybe not being so honest with yourself about truly how you've been feeling about things, or like what's coming through is like the spiritual bypassing idea. So like trying to be super positive or like cup half full person, right? When really, yes, that's wonderful and beautiful. And though 222 and balance. That's wonderful and beautiful to be in that space and be in that headspace and be in that perspective. And then it's also important to not bypass what we're feeling underneath, and letting yourself feel those things, letting those things come up so that they can be expressed, processed, and moved through. And it feels like that's kind of what this is coming up for. It's coming up because it needs to be expressed. It needs to be moved through. It needs to be let out of your system so you can make space for something else. So it feels like this is coming up for a reason. It's coming up so that you can let go of, it feels like there's a little bit of, I guess it's like a rewiring, like a nervous system rewiring that's kind of happening in some ways. And it's kind of asking you to attend to your feelings differently than you have in the past. It's asking you to let yourself feel what you need to feel when you need to feel it so that you can let those things pass instead of kind of keeping them shoved in and suppressed and held on to. And so this moon is kind of bringing those things to the surface so that they can be released, so you can make space for other things. Because what's coming through with the avoidance of these feelings, or the avoidance of attending to this part of yourself, is it's keeping certain thought cycles alive. It's keeping certain ways of thinking alive. It's keeping you kind of scattered. Like that's the other thing that's coming through, that if you have not been attending to this part of yourself or taking care of this part of yourself or letting this part of yourself move through you, you're really scattered or foggy, or you've been finding yourself kind of dissociating a lot or checking out a lot. And that's all because there's a part of you that struggles to feel safety and feeling your feelings and letting them happen. So I'm hearing like strong people don't do that, or like that's not strength, right? Like there's something in here around how you view the expression of tears and sadness that is keeping you from expressing and moving through to release and make space for the new. It does feel like these are things that you have kind of lived your whole life in. So, what I'm hearing is like, as you are able to restructure these beliefs and these ways of thinking, you are letting yourself be more human, to to be honest. You're letting yourself kind of lean more into the human experience. And as you let yourself lean more into this human experience and let yourself kind of flow and let emotions come in and go out, you're not as pent up, is what I just heard. So it feels like this not taking care of this part of yourself or not releasing or letting this out is keeping you very tight in your body. So I'm feeling like and hearing like body pains, like waking up with a lot of pain in your body, feeling really, really, really tight in your system. And this is your nervous system and your body trying to tell you that you're holding on to things that you are never meant to carry. You're not letting yourself release and move forward. And that's part of why this pain is happening. I'm also hearing like lower back pain. And so letting yourself feel your emotions is so important. It's just so important. And we're just not taught how to do it in a healthy way. And when we grow up in environments where we are taught that it's not healthy for us to feel our emotions, or it's judged in some type of way, right? Or it's labeled in some type of way when we do feel our emotions, then we internalize that and we start to like kind of put that towards ourselves. Like we turn that towards ourselves. So if you were strong, then you wouldn't be feeling this right now. Don't be a crybaby, right? Whatever. And that keeps us in this kind of survival space or survival mode. And the other thing that's coming through is like, I have a feeling that there's been a lot of irritability for whoever I'm talking to, where you've kind of felt like little things that normally wouldn't bother you have kind of been poking pretty hard at you and causing like disruption in a way that they wouldn't normally cause disruption. So what I'm hearing is that's a sign that you're not attending to and taking care of your emotions properly. And when we don't take care of our emotions properly, right? Like they go somewhere. When you don't feel your feelings and you just like shove your feelings, they go somewhere. And if you've ever heard of the book The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel Koch, I think is his name. I don't know. The emotions stay somewhere in your system, right? And that's actually what blocks our chakras, is what I'm being shown. So like the suppression of sadness, the suppression of grief blocks our heart chakra. And so it's important to recognize when you are not taking care of those parts of yourself, or when you're actively avoiding those aspects of yourself, because it keeps us from fully functioning. And it also keeps us from being fully aligned, right? Like we're out of alignment when we're blocked in certain chakras, and certain chakras are blocked by the suppressing of emotions and the suppressing of feeling things. And this moon is kind of like bringing that stuff to the surface for you. And it's kind of coming up because it's asking to be seen, and it's asking to be held, and it's asking to be sat with. And the hard part is that it can be very uncomfortable to feel your feelings. And so a lot of the times we never fully let ourselves feel what we need to feel. And when we don't fully let ourselves feel those things, right, they just keep cycling. They stay in our system still. They're still there until they're attended to, until they're taken care of. And I think what becomes really difficult, which I'm hearing very clearly, is that when you have not done that for your whole life, or for many, many years, or for decades, right, there's so much emotion that's pent up that as soon as you start to feel those feelings, it's kind of like the dam breaks, right? And it's like an overload and an overwhelm of emotional expression and feeling. And it can feel like you are like losing it or like having a mental breakdown or like dying, right? And that's just information that there's so many emotions that you've been shoving for so long that are just over full, you know? And so it takes time to empty those things out before having an emotion or feeling something becomes like something that doesn't take over or completely sideswipe you, right? But avoiding it is not actually taking care of it. It's just keeping that dam up, and it's going to break eventually. And that's the thing with emotions too, is kind of like when you don't feel what you need to feel, it's kind of like all of a sudden you just kind of lose it. You have a mental breakdown, whatever you want to call it, right? One of the ways that I used to talk to people about this, or that I talk about emotions, is like, you imagine you're in a room with no windows or doors, and this room fills up with water every single time you have a feeling and you don't express it or you don't feel it. What happens eventually? When you continue to do that over and over and over again, you drown, the room combusts, right? And that's kind of when we kind of like pop off. That's the pop off. It's because we're not taking care of things as they're coming up. But every time we do take care of an emotion or feel an emotion or express an emotion as it comes up, the water comes down a little bit in that room. And so we're in control of our emotions, and if we decide to let them control us, or we actually are the ones that are in control, right? But when you don't take care of them, they then take the wheel. And so, and you see this in many different ways, right? Where like you're too afraid to do something, where fear is controlling that choice, right? And emotions will take the wheel if we don't learn how to manage them, learn how to take care of them. We don't learn how to move with them, right? And as you learn to take care of your emotions more, there is a nervous system rewiring that also happens with this. So this is kind of what is being challenged right now with this moon, is an ask for you to step out of this survival functioning and the survival way of performing and being, and step more into this accepting of all parts of yourself, including your emotional reaction, including your emotions, so that you can live in a state that is more stable and calm. And so all of these things are coming to the surface, and this is kind of the shadow work that they talk a lot about in spirituality, right? Where all this is coming to the surface so you can learn to be kind to it. You can learn to be loving to it. You can learn to sit with it. And you learn how to ebb and flow with it, right? You learn that balance. It's a lot easier said than done, for sure. And it's definitely pretty uncomfortable at times. And the other thing that's coming through is like, don't stay there, right? So let yourself feel what you need to feel and then dip out for a little bit. Focus on something else. Do something else. I have a guided journal called Feel It Without Falling Apart. And you can find it in my link in my bio on my link tree. And it's a journal that kind of helps you to move through your emotions and feel your emotions and understand the stories that you have underneath your emotions, so that you can do that better for yourself. So you can become complete and whole on your own. And this journal really helps guide you and walk you through those things, and you kind of move at your own pace in being able to do that. So that is something if you want to take a look. I also do help people do this, so you can always look into working with me. That link is in the bio as well. But this moon is bringing these things to the surface so that these things can be cleared. Because the more that you clear out the darkness, the shadow, right, the more light can enter. And so that's kind of what's being asked of you right now. You're being asked to let go of the shadow and release the shadow so you can let in the light. so you can let in more joy into your life. You can let in more happiness into your life. You can let in more presence into your life. Right now, that's what's trying to be introduced to you. That's what's trying to get you to make space for it. That's like kind of what this is about right now. What you do with that and how you choose to move through that is completely your choice. But that is what the universe, God, source, divine, whatever you call it, is trying to help you do right now. And this is to move you forward so you can release past things as well. Because as we are moving into the fire horse energy, which I personally believe the new year starts in February on the 17th or 16th, I believe it's around that time, we're kind of closing out final things. And this is the time to let the past be in the past and move through things and choose to walk into this new year, this new cycle in a completely different place, right? And a completely new identity. And you get to decide how you do that. You get to decide how you live this life. You get to decide how good you feel in this life, right? And all of that is dependent on if you decide to do the work, if you decide to move through the things, if you decide to suppress them or not do it, right? The choice is yours. But the universe always wants the best for you. So this is them trying to help you with moving forward. And what you choose to do with that and how you choose to attend to that is totally up to you. It's always your choice. We have free will here. But this is kind of what this moon is kind of bringing up. And so the other thing that's coming through is it might be helpful for you to write a letter. And maybe you're writing a letter about the things that you want to release this full moon and letting yourself process the emotions that come up with that as you're writing the letter. And as you finish that letter and write that letter for yourself, I recommend burning it. It's always the best. Have a little bonfire, or bury it, or put it in water and watch it disintegrate. Get it off your energy and off your system. Let yourself start to release a certain layer of that for yourself. I think that could be really helpful in starting to make space for the light to come in. Think about doing something like that. Anything that you do is letting the light in and bringing space in. And even the smallest act is going to bring in more light. So you don't have to do anything big and crazy, right? But like, take a moment for yourself because you deserve that. My name is Crystal Clear Mystic, aka Crystal Hoban. I love you so much. Take really good care of yourself. And we're going to get through this new moon, full moon. We're going to get through this full moon. Love you.